Hello everyone. Well, time to close out our look at the Frankenstein movies with the Ghost of Frankenstein. Don't worry, this won't be the last time we'll see the monster in action. So, here we go. The residents of the village of Frankenstein feel they are under a curse and blame all their troubles on Frankenstein's monster. Rumors circulate about Igor, who is still alive and supposedly trying to revive the monster. The villagers pressure the mayor into allowing them to destroy Frankenstein's castle. Igor attempts to put up some resistance, but the villagers rush the gates and begin to destroy the castle. Igor, fleeing through the catacombs, finds the monster released from his sulfuric tomb by the explosions. The exposure to sulfur weakened the monster but also preserved him. Unseen by the villagers, Igor and the monster flee the castle to the surrounding countryside. There they encounter a powerful thunderstorm. The monster is struck by a bolt of lightning, but instead of being harmed by it, he seems to be rejuvenated. Igor descends by Ludwig, the second son of the original Frankenstein, to help the monster. Ludwig Frankenstein is a doctor who, along with his assistants Dr. Kettering and Dr. Theodor Boehmer, has a successful practice in Visaria. They have just completed a breakthrough treatment for mental illness whereby a damaged brain has been removed from the body, surgically altered, then successfully reintroduced into the patient's skull. Boehmer was formerly Frankenstein's teacher but made a tragic surgical mistake and is now relegated to being Frankenstein's envious assistant. Igor and the monster arrive in Visaria and discover that Ludwig lives in a chateau at the end of town. As they arrive, the monster hears children playing. A little girl is playing with a ball when a young boy kicks the girl's ball onto the roof. The monster quickly befriends the young girl, Clostine Hussman. The monster scoops up the little girl in his arms and carries her onto a nearby roof to retrieve her ball, killing 2 villagers in the process who attempted to intervene. After Clostine asks the monster to take her to her daddy, the monster returns the girl to her father, Herr Ostman, and is immediately captured by the entire police force. Ugh. The town prosecutor, Erich Ernst, comes to Ludwig Frankenstein and asks him to examine the giant they have captured. Frankenstein says he will comply after he finishes some work. Soon, Igor pays Frankenstein a visit, informing him that the giant at the police station is the monster. Igor implores the doctor to heal the monster's sick body and brain. Frankenstein refuses, not wanting the monster to ruin his life as it did for his father and brother. Igor threatens to reveal Ludwig's ancestry to the villagers and forces him to give in. At the police station, the monster is restrained with chains, and as a hearing is conducted to investigate the murder of the 2 villagers. The monster does not respond to any questions. Ludwig Frankenstein then arrives, and the monster shows signs of recognizing him. When Ludwig Frankenstein denies knowing him, the monster goes berserk and breaks free. Igor leads the monster away. While alone in her father's study, Elsa, Frankenstein's daughter, finds the Frankenstein journals and reads them, learning the story of the monster. She then sees the monster and Igor in the window and screams. Then, Igor and the monster break into Frankenstein's laboratory and the monster kills Dr. Kettering. Dun dun dun! The monster grabs Elsa, but Ludwig Frankenstein is able to subdue him and knock out gas. When Elsa revives, Ludwig tells her Kettering's death and promises her that he will not let his curse from the past separate them. Ludwig Frankenstein is examining his father's creation when the monster revives and tries to kill him. Ludwig is able to tranquilize the monster and then tries to enlist Boehmer's aid in dissecting the monster. Boehmer refuses, claiming it would be murder, but Ludwig is determined to destroy the monster, even if he must do it alone. While studying his family's journals, Ludwig is visited by the ghost of his father, Henry Frankenstein. The spirit implores him to perfect his creation rather than to destroy it by giving the creature a good brain. Ludwig Frankenstein calls in Boehmer and Igor and tells them that he plans to put Dr. Kettering's brain into the monster's skull. Igor protests and asks Ludwig to use his brain instead, as Igor's broken body reflects multiple attempts to kill him, including Ludwig's older brother. Ludwig refuses, insisting that that would be a monster indeed. Ludwig then charges the monster to give him strength for the operation. Elsa protests to her father, telling him to stop his experiments, but he refuses, choosing to operate on the patient as soon as possible. Igor later explains to the monster that he will receive a new brain. Igor also taunts Boehmer, telling him that he shouldn't be subordinate to Frankenstein. Igor promises to help the disgraced doctor if he agrees to put Igor's brain into the monster. Boehmer ponders the possibilities. The police soon arrive at Frankenstein's house, searching for the monster. They find the secret room, but Igor and the monster have fled. The monster abducts Clostine, his young friend. and returns with her in his arms to Frankenstein's chateau. The monster's reason for abducting her soon becomes clear. He wants the girl's brain in his head. When Igor protests, the monster violently pushes him aside, injuring Igor's spine. Closely does not want to lose her brain, and the monster reluctantly gives her to Elsa. Ludwig Frankenstein then performs his surgery, believing he's putting Kettering's brain in the monster. Bomer, however, has substituted Igor's brain for that of Kettering's. In the village, Erich Hussmann arouses his neighbors by telling them his daughter has been captured by the monster and that Ludwig Frankenstein is harboring the creature. They race to the chateau, but Erich Ernst convinces the group to give him 5 minutes to convince Ludwig Frankenstein to give up the monster. Ludwig admits he has the monster and agrees to show him to Erich, thinking Kettering's brain is in his skull. Upon Ludwig and Erich arriving in the room, the monster rises and Frankenstein is shocked to hear Igor's voice coming from the monster's mouth. The villagers now storm the chateau, and the Igor monster decides to have Bomer fill the house with gas to kill them. Frankenstein tries to stop him, but the Igor monster repels the attack and mortally wounds Ludwig. The villagers find the husband and girl and run from the building, fleeing the deadly gas. The Igor monster suddenly goes blind and calls for Bomer. The wounded Ludwig states, "Your dream of power is over, Bomer. You didn't realize his blood is the same type as Kettering's, but not the same as Igor's. It will not be the sensory nerves." The Igor monster accuses Bomer of tricking him and asks, "What good is there a brain without eyes to see?" The Igor monster then throws Bomer onto the apparatus, electrocuting him, and then inadvertently sets fire to the chateau. However it's pronounced. This brings about his own demise, as he is unable to get out of the chateau, while Erich and Elsa walk off toward the sunrise together. Phew, that was a close one. Well, so much being said of that movie, huh? Anyway, let's look at the production elements of this story. Movie, sorry. Ghost of Frankenstein marked the final appearance of the monster in a solo capacity in the Universal Monsters series. Beginning with the next film, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, in which Lugosi plays the monster, with Chaney switching to his Wolfman character, and continuing for the rest of the Universal cycle, Frankenstein's monster will be part of an ensemble cast of creatures. The blinding of the monster resulted in a lasting stereotype of the creature walking with his arms outstretched, even though this is the only film in which it is explicitly indicated that he is blind, being such references be cut from the studio from Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, sabotaging Lugosi's performance in the process, since the audience is left to wonder why the monster is behaving so peculiarly. The monster's ability to speak would also be dropped after this film. Lugosi's dialogue was filmed but ultimately deleted from Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, until Glenn Strange, the monster, spoke briefly in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein has Chaney make an uncredited second appearance as the monster during the laboratory escape sequence, replacing a broken-footed Glenn Strange in the monster role. Despite having been apparently killed at the end of Son of Frankenstein, Igor was revealed to have been only maimed by the bullets shot into him by Wolf Frankenstein. There was no mention of a second son of the original Dr. Frankenstein and Son of Frankenstein. Ludwig states that he has lived in this area his entire life, but it's not explained why only Wolf was raised in America. Ghost of Frankenstein also marked the changeover of the Frankenstein and Universal Monsters from A-movie to B-movie status, notably reduced budgets and the reuse of actors from previous films. As noted below, footage from this film will be recycled in an even later Frankenstein feature. The title of this film refers to the fact that Dr. Henry Frankenstein, creator of the monster in the first Universal film, appears as a ghostly apparition to advise Ludwig. The footage of the monster scrambling to escape the fire was later reused at the end of House of Dracula, even though Glenn Strange appears as the monster in that film. So, yeah, interesting if I do say so myself. So, I give The Ghost of Frankenstein 4 jack-o'-lanterns out of 5. Well, join me tomorrow as we continue on with The Mummy. So, until tomorrow, see you guys.